Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jailhouse Informant.
Hey, everybody. How you doing tonight? So thank you all for watching. As you can see, we're in two different locations tonight. I am here at the historic Scott County Jail in Huntsville, Tennessee.
Yeah, and I am back here in the Ghost Biker Garage. Normally we're both there in that location, but I had to actually head back down south this evening. So glad to be here. Glad to be hanging out with my business partner, Christy, and hanging out with you guys and having a great guest on tonight.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited about tonight's guest. So he's very informative. He's doing some unique things out there in New Mexico. But before we get him on, we have had a tremendous week here at the historic Scott County Jail. Our flashlight tours for February, we had our last ones over the weekend, and just had a great group of people throughout the weekend. We had Yin Yang Paranormal come out on Friday. They were here, and just an amazing group of investigators. We got to meet some very cool podcast hosts this week. We got to meet Eric Freeman Sims, and we got to meet Katie from Lady Teal's Curios, and Becky from Homespun Haints. So we highly recommend those podcasts. So if you listen to them, I think you'll get a lot out of them. But it was a pleasure meeting those ladies as well.
It really was, because I know both you and I have been on all three of their shows, and I've not been on Katie's yet, but we've been on their shows, and I really enjoy listening to them, encourage everyone else to, and it's just really cool to actually be able to spend some time. I know we got to actually investigate with Becky and with Katie, and it was really cool to take the time where you sit and have the conversation, but then actually be able to go out and do an investigation with them.
Yeah, no, it was a great investigation, and our friends Susan and Becky, they joined us as well. So we're just doing some really cool things here at the jail. If you haven't come out yet, we highly encourage you to do so, because it's a lot of fun. We had such a fun flashlight group last night. Marty, if you and your gang are listening, it was a blast having you all out, and we thoroughly enjoyed it. We'll be putting out new investigation or flashlight tours for our March and April calendars. We'll be putting those out here today or tonight or tomorrow. So we're really excited about announcing those. So good things happening here at the jail.
Actually, yeah, the flashlight tours are actually already up. I just got those up on the website, and we've not promoted them yet, because with tomorrow being the first day of March, we got a whole new theme. We're trying to do something different. As Dr. Sumner said, we did wrap up February, which was our Fall in Love with History Month, and our Crimes of Passion flashlight tours. I guess we can probably go ahead and tell them what this month's theme is.
Yeah, let's do it.
Considering it drops tomorrow.
Yeah.
March is National Women's History Month, and so we are celebrating the ladies here at the historic Scott County Jail. Not just crimes that some women have committed, the femme fatales and the, and some of the different victims and stuff of these crimes. We want to highlight that as well, but we're also highlighting some of the really cool historical figures that are female there in the Scott County area.
Yeah, so everything is going to be themed Women's Month this month. So ladies, come on out. We're going to have some special events just for the ladies. We'll allow some guys to come in on some nights, but we're going to have some themes for the ladies this month. So come on out. It's a great time. We really enjoy meeting everybody. And so that's kind of what we got going for March, and we're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, the public ghost hunts, those we will be announcing tomorrow. They take a little bit, they're longer, they take a little bit more time to get it together, but we do have some special themes for that. And so we're just getting the last finishing details on the design on that together. But the flashlight tours are up. We definitely encourage you to go to our website, which is scrolling along the bottom of the screen, or even give us a call. And that's got all of those dates. We pretty much have every weekend covered with either a flashlight tour or a public ghost hunt. So, and I think we may even go ahead and extend April out in the next week or so. Go ahead and put those dates out as well, because everything has been so popular lately. So
yeah. So enough about that. This week we've got an amazing guest. We are really honored to have met him a couple months ago in New Mexico, and just a great professional, a really interesting man to talk to. He leads some different adventure tours out there in New Mexico, and he actually runs tours through the historic Donna Anna Courthouse and jail. So let's welcome David Kreider to our Jailhouse Informant podcast tonight. Hey, David.
Folks. Hey, hi.
Hey, David.
Thanks, guys, for inviting me. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. We're glad you could. Yeah, glad that you could join us tonight.
Absolutely. And I just want to remind everyone in the chat room, if you have any questions, please feel free to put those in the comments area. And if you will, just put them in all caps, just so we make sure we don't miss anything as we're sitting here. So anyways, go on.
Yeah, so we had the pleasure of meeting you a few months ago at the Las Cruces Paracon.
Yeah, it was our first Paracon. We're throwing around the idea about putting the second one on, but we've got a lot of other things going on in October area timeframe. Some things we do kind of on an annual basis. So just throwing it out there, as well as I do, there's a lot of back logistics and planning to do the simplest of things when it involves the public. So yeah, it's on the board, but I don't know, it might be moved around a little bit. So.
Well, we hope we're invited whenever it comes to fruition.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You guys are great.
So kind of tell our audience, a little bit about who you are and how you got involved with the jail and the courthouse out there.
Well, I started out as Southwest Expeditions, still do that. And what we do is we offer adventure touring throughout southern New Mexico. And it's just a host of different types of tours. Adventure tours, meaning petroglyph tours, Native American sites, ghost towns, kayaking, biking, tubing, hiking, and base camp setting up things where we cater to private groups. And that's something I've been doing for the last 11 years. But I was approached by a couple of folks that had done a couple of our tours, and they said, "Hey, look, we'd like to talk to you." Brought me in and said, "Look, we've got a place here in town. We're renovated into a 4-star hotel and conference center, and the management, the hotel management, only does 4 and 5 stars around the world. They've agreed to manage the place, but they have a very long list of requirements. One of them being you have to have a full-time tour operator on site. Would you be that tour operator for us?" And yes, absolutely. I love the building. It's a 1937 3-story courthouse, about 37,000 square feet with a jail annex connected to it, and of another 17,000 square feet. So I've driven past this place a million times in the course of living here in Las Cruces, New Mexico, where the complex is. It's actually a series of 3 buildings. This is the courthouse. And so they said, "Well, tell you what, it's going to be a while before we bring the investors in to do the $35 million build out. And we were still raising funds. So why don't you occupy, build buzz, and just keep the vagrants out of the building?" And I said, "Absolutely." So we went in, and I was on the fence about the whole paranormal thing. I had some experiences, very dark, before, when I was being stupid and playing around with things. And but as far as the whole ghost things and entities running around on a daily basis, I was kind of on the fence on that. I'd seen the shows out there, read the books, and I was thinking, okay, some people have some very active imaginations. Until it happens to you, you tend to believe that way. And 2 weeks into the building, bright sunny days, it usually everything that's happened to me, I'd say 90% of the activity that I've experienced in the building has been during the day, and alone or with one other person. To downplay that, or to limit that, I'm not alone in the building anymore, and I don't go at night in the building anymore, only because I know who these people are now. They've been there. I've been here long enough to kind of determine personalities, but they startle you. They like to mess with people that are onesies and twosies in the building. So I go with groups, and I get in and get out like that. But so they asked me to. So 2 weeks into the building, I'm standing at our counter, or actually under the counter, trying to fix the electrical work that was shorted out. The owner, before the investors, he bid $1 million on this whole complex. The city just gave it to him. It's fully furnished. He proceeded with this crew that he had, and I use that term loosely, they started tearing out everything in the building, from ceiling tiles to doors to carpets to all the furniture. It was fully furnished when they turned the keys over to them. Took all the HVAC plumbing out. You guys are so blessed to have full electricity and power in your building. It's very, very, as you well know, very rare in these older buildings.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to get the electrical in our little office there back going underneath the counter. I was expecting a plumber and the architect that was coming in to show us where the shutoff is, the shutoff valve. Of course, it's in the basement. It has to be in the basement. And I heard you guys walking down the hallway carrying on a conversation. I'm under the counter. I just assumed it was Steve and the plumber. And I yelled at him under the counter, come on in. I had two big doors open up into the old tax offices that we're in. And they get closer and I'm wiggling out of the counter. And I said, Steve, come on in. And they stop right in front of the doors, shuffle to a stop. I could almost make them out, a deeper voiced man and a lighter voiced man carrying on some sort of a conversation. I stood up expecting to see Steve and the plumber. They didn't come for another hour and a half. So I attributed that immediately to, I must have heard somebody across the street. It carried through the window, that kind of thing. But after about the fourth or fifth time hearing voices and then women's voices and then a little girl, it just kind of changed my whole opinion on what's going on in this building. And I wanted to know more. About that time, about a month into this, an investigation group that apparently had done 2 or 3 investigations in the building with the permission of the first owner came in and said, hey, look, we've done some investigations. Would you like to see what we found? I literally first time I told them, no, not interested. I don't want to know. And they were persistent. So I said, okay, what do you got? And it got my attention when what they were showing me is what I'd started hearing.
Wow.
And one of the things, that I noticed, and I'm not a paranormal investigator to your group of guests here. I set up tours. I do logistics and tours and planning, mainly for adventure tours. So this was all new to me, but it intrigued me what was going on in this building, and I, like I said, I wanted to know more because, like I said, the things that were happening that they had seen was the same things I was seeing at that point in time. But one of the observations I made, and this is all observations, when I first got in the building, there was no power, there was no water. It was a dark building. And so we literally had to go in there and start flipping main breakers and sub panels to see what did come on and what he didn't cut out. And of course, we got a lot of sparks and things like that flying. We just inspired and got some of the power on, some of the lights in the jail, some of the lights in the main area, some of the water up front, that kind of thing. No HVAC, no air conditioning. And I noticed, oh my gosh, overnight, a huge increase in activity. And I attribute it to the energy that we put back in that building. And since then, I've heard from investigators saying, well, that there is a tie in there. But being a novice, I just noticed more footsteps, more talking, the physical things started happening. Jail doors, they weigh 300 pounds, slamming shut in the middle of the day. I used to investigate that. I don't do that anymore. They can slam the hinges fall off. I'm not going back there. And it's just to get your attention anyway. And then the talking and then calling my name out and things like that. Heavy furniture moving. That was definitely a correlation to the electricity being turned on. Then we noticed I used to use, D-cell batteries and, AAAs, and we use rechargeables a lot now, and LED, everything, because they drain the batteries, fully charged. Even Ghost Adventures that was there, Zach, they missed a really good opportunity of a jail door closing right in front of them. And they did this on purpose. And when I say they, I mean the shadow guy that lives back there. They drained this guy's batteries Zach was yelling at him, and I don't know if I should mention his name, but they were having a yelling contest because Zach said, I thought this guy didn't charge his batteries. He said, Zach, I've been charging them for 48 hours. They're brand new batteries, and they're dead as a doornail. And that's happened to us more times than I care to remember. So we carry backup batteries, like the rest, like you guys know, and like I know now from investigating groups come in, the ones that know carry backup batteries because they seem to feed off that. Observations that I've seen in the building.
So how long has the complex been closed?
2009, they had a jail riot, and it's weird when you hear both sides of the story from the jailers and from the prisoners, because We've had both back to do tours because they used to be there, some in a good way, some in a bad way. And of course, the jailers say it was the prisoners say it was the jailers, caused them to plug up all the floor vents and bust the plumbing on the sprinkler heads to flood the building in cell block 4. And so after they got the SWAT team in there and gassed everybody and drug them all out, they closed that. And about that was the time that the new county detention was opening. So they just moved them over there, and they decided to close the whole place down. And they had built a new courthouse, and so they closed it. So they literally just turned the keys and locked it and shut it down.
How long did it sit vacant?
Oh gosh, decades. The other owner was in there. Well, I haven't been in there 5 years. He had just left when I got in, and it would continue to be vacant. We were in there.
Wow.
But I'm not in there like you guys. You have power and running water. You got lights. It's so nice. So I'd go in maybe once a week kind of thing, and we get something fixed. Or when we did an investigation or something, or I'd let somebody in the building, we'd open it up for them. But then it'd be sitting for a week or two before we got back into the building. That's changing a little bit because we have a lot of activity, and folks like ghost tours. Oh my gosh, we've been doing 3 different types of tours in the building. Group tours, where we have about 54 people come in, 57 people. We split them into 2 groups: PRI, Paranormal Investigations, Research Investigators. They take one group, I take another one, and we swap. It's such a big building, we never see each other and barely can hear each other. And then we do a private group tours, minimum 4, maximum 6 or 8, where they're in the building by themselves. And then we do a full immersion paranormal investigation, where we have the ghost hunting equipment. I'm sure nothing that you guys have, but this is the basics. We have K2 meters, night vision cameras. We have a spirit box we show them how to use. We have recorders, and then we give them a radio because we do not go with them. We give them a map of the building and find out how many people don't know how to use a map. That's it's a large building, as you guys have been in it, and they get turned around, but we let them in the building for 2 hours to do their own investigation. We tell them any door that's open, you can walk through, go for it. So at the end, we give them a memory stick out of the camera and recorders, and they can go finish their investigation, which, as you well know, is the hard part. You got to listen to all that stuff and watch it to see what you get.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. I really enjoyed the fact, because as you said, we were out there and able to tour it, and the building is fantastic. The courthouse and the jail. If anybody listening, if you haven't been out there, I highly encourage you to make a trip to Las Cruces and get out there, because it is a fascinating building. But I really appreciate the fact that you are trying to really allow people to go in and see the historical perspective, but also giving them the chance to tour the paranormal as well. And so you're also not just the jail and the courthouse. You said you're also starting ghost tours as well, right? Around the town?
I got to talking with this investigative group we use, and we do use others, but he's my go-to. I know that they're factual, they're spot on with what they do. They act very professional. They do great pre-interviews, and you guys know what that is. But for those that don't, when we come in to do a building that's allowed us to go in, they do an interview to the owners first, or to whoever's letting us in the building, and ask them a series of questions. They get the back history, plus they do their research, and ask them, what have they seen? What have they heard? Anything going on, anything that their customers have felt and heard. And then just to try to get a history. We just finished that with a 1920 schoolhouse here off of Valley Drive. And it's a museum. It's a memorial museum for a wife that had been there since she was 17 years old. She's now 67. And she and her husband had put this in when he retired. They've collected a lot of strange things in there. And some of them, she has this creepy doll collection. To me, it's creepy as heck. But it's even creepier is because she tells us that the dolls move. And they don't like wearing hats. They've thrown the hats on the floor when she's placed hats on them. They've been in different locations, things like that. There's just a plethora of paranormal activity going on there. And she can, including seeing her husband in there several times. He's come back. He's passed for 5 years now. But apparently he still hangs out there. So she's not scared. She says, what can they do to me? But the creepy dolls get me. And then musical instruments playing in there that they've heard, horn and piano and old bikes moving, things like that, and apparitions, full-bodied apparitions, one without a
Wow.
head that her helper saw. So they do all this investigations. We go in. They spend about 4 hours in an evening. They come back. They do all of their going through the second part, all the documentation. And like, for instance, we're meeting her Thursday to go over that information. And from there, I take that. I get their information, their night vision recordings, any audio, put it together in a tour-based format, decide what time frame we're going to be there. And then we do, for that particular one, we're going to do a van tour out there. So we pick people up, do a van tour, come back. Others are walking tours. We have the Mesilla Ghost Tours. It's about 10 buildings in Old Mesilla. It's a historic plaza here connected to Las Cruces. And we'll be doing a walking tour there with lanterns. And then finishing up at one of the places that have a lot of activity. It's been written about, the Double Eagle. They're giving us discounts for, it's a restaurant. They'll take us into what they call the ghost room because there's been a lot of sightings in there. And we'll have some drinks while their manager comes in and tells us the history of their building.
Oh, fun.
And then we've got the Rio Grande Theater, 1926 theater downtown, has some activity. We're going to be doing that one. We've got permission with the city to go in there. And then the Amador, which is the Amador Hotel, it's 1890, which is right across the street from the courthouse. Tons of history there. From Billy the Kid signing in there at the registry to the hanging judge, Roy Bean and Everett, Pat Garrett, all these guys have been there. The Western guys have signed in on this. This was the hotel back in the day.
Wow.
So a lot of history there. Let me see where else. We've got the Amador, the school, the Rio Grande, the Honda Mesilla. We're looking at, it's called the Tortilla Factory right now. And they have activity in there. It's an old shop in the late 1800s that is in Mesilla. And we'll do just a private investigation there and see what they've got going on. And hopefully add that to the tours. So I'm keeping my eye open now that not just the adventure tours that we do, but some of these type tours that have a history base plus activity. So that's what we're doing.
And so if somebody wants to go on one of the Haunted Mesilla walking tours or ghost walks, what's the best way that they can do that? Is it through your Southwest Expeditions Facebook page, or what's the best way that they can connect if they want to book one of those tours?
Thanks, Miranda. It's actually going to be either, but we just blast out on Facebook that these tours are coming up. On the actual website, SW Expeditions, I've divided into sections. I redid the website, and one of them is the ghost tours, and then events 2022 is another tab. And the ghost tours just lists a lot of the private things that you can do, that you can book with a group. And the paranormal guys can come in there. If there's a group want to come in, we've got special rates for them because they usually want to stay, as you well know, longer than 2 hours. It's usually later on in the night. We also have a hotel we hooked up with that's giving us discounts for those groups coming in and staying overnight. We stayed there, the Marriott. And so we have that under ghost tours. And then when we do events like the group ghost tours, that's under events 2022, and they can click on that and see the different events. But the private stuff, they just go to ghost tours.
Okay.
And they can see the other things that we do.
So since you started this, I mean, obviously you've seen an uptick in, the history and the paranormal, but what is, being a location owner now, and you are as well, kind of what are you seeing? What is kind of the trends that you're seeing with regard to the paranormal out there?
It's gotten crazy. I was just asking guys, what is it with the ghost thing? Because we've booked some group tours 4 now. They've all booked out at 57. We've got one coming up in March here. It's booked out. So I'm putting 2 more together in April. And I usually do once a month because we do other things. But being booked out at 57, we still have 20 people will call and say, can we get in on that tour? And I was going, I don't get it yet. So I was going to ask you guys, well, what do you think is going on? Because the private tours have uptick. And I don't know if it's, post-COVID and everybody wants something to do, but they want to come out, and if they get scared, so much the better, for them. But they're willing to go through these big buildings with, 50 people. Well, we split them up. We do 25 kind of thing like that. And it's still it's a good 2-hour tour by the time we take them through, and we offer drinks and things like that. And we show a video as to what's been going on in the building. So it's more than just get them in, get them out kind of thing. It's an experience, but it just amazes me None of my other tours book that fast. Nothing, not the kayaks, not the tubes, not ghost tours and ghost towns and star parties on the lake. Nothing books that quick, and it just, I've kind of wondered why that is. Maybe you guys can answer that. What do you think?
Everybody loves ghost stories, right? That and the historical perspective. So, I mean, for us here at the historic Scott County Jail, the paranormal tours, the flashlight tours, the after dark things, I mean, they're far exceeding the daily tours that are coming in just for the historical component. So I think it's just the fact that everybody wants to hear a ghost story. They want to go through essentially a creepy building at night and kind of get that thrill.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that you say that. I do offer a history tour through the building, and I've gotten a couple of takers, and the only ones that they booked was 6 ladies from Alamogordo. I think I told you that story when we had dinner that one night. They come in doing a history tour, and I talk nothing about paranormal. We don't mention anything, but we do tell them what's on the original plans. We're up on the 3rd floor, which used to be the federal holding cells, and there's 2 rooms in there. They're like closets now, but they were called insane rooms on the 1937 plans. And so I tell them these were marked insane rooms. This is where they kept prisoners that they couldn't put with the general populace because of medical conditions or psychological conditions. So okay. And this was going to be a tour that they're putting together for the kids to come out and do, what's that called when they take them out in buses? Field trips.
Yep.
And so we've gone off. This is the last stop we do. And we're going through there. I passed through there to show them the juvenile section. Last lady lets out this blood-curdling scream, scared everybody, including me. I thought she was having a heart attack. The other ladies are screaming. She's up against the wall, white as a ghost. And I said, "Ma'am, are you all right?" And she goes, "There's somebody in there," pointing to this closet that used to be a cell. And it's daytime. It's 12 o'clock, in the afternoon. Clearly can see in there. And I said, "Ma'am, it's not that I don't believe you, but there's nothing in there now." And she screams at me, "I know what I saw. There was somebody in there." I said, "Well, what did they look like?" And she said, "He was a shadow. He was 3D shadow, and he's tall and skinny. And when I screamed, he squatted down, but he had red eyes. He was still looking at me." So they all left. I haven't heard back from them. So I don't do a whole lot of history tours in there. And I was not planning that. I was actually wanting to get the history tour thing going because that's kind of my thing. I like that. But it's the paranormal. Yeah.
Well, most of the people that come in just for the daytime history tours, I know for myself, and I'd say Dr. Sumner probably has the same thing happen to her, that most of the people, they ask about the paranormal. We don't talk about it on the daytime history tours, but most of the people, probably 9 out of 10 people, ask about it. And I think that's why our flashlight tours have been so popular, because they're the ones that, I mean, they sell out quicker than the public ghost hunts and, of course, the daytime tours. And I think that's because we do a mixture of both. And so it's an intimate tour, but it's at night. And then it's also covering the history and throwing in that true crime and paranormal aspect. So there's just, I mean, those sell out very quick. I think just because of that purpose.
And I guess that's true. I see it the same here. Is people are very interested in that. And they're interested in how it ties into history, and that there's things going on, and these entities are still around. It kind of baffles me is why they would be wanting to be in a dark, gloomy, cold building, especially the little girl and the ladies that are there. But we've since found some things out on the ladies that we think is more than a coincidence. We used to have the Loretto's Christian Girls Academy across the street, catty corner, 1890s. And they dressed a certain way. They had long brown dresses and little design up here, a little darker design. Everybody that's described the 2 ladies in the building that they see and hear and talk to, I've only heard them call my name. I've never seen them. And I'm perfectly happy with that. But they describe them as one's Hispanic, one's Anglo, and they both wear long brown dresses. And so I said, okay, we'll file that back. And that's interesting. And then the building across the street, which is the old Farmers, well, it's not the old, it's a bank building, Farmers Insurance. It's our insurance company over there. They were telling me that they know the history of that. It used to be a 2-story morgue back then in the late 1890s, a wooden morgue. And next to the Amador House, which is next to the Amador Hotel. The only Amador Hotel is the only one that exists now. And they hear footsteps upstairs in the day, still boots on wooden floors. And I said, what's the interesting things that have happened? And they go, oh my gosh. She said, well, one night we were calling, Farmers Insurance. You want to buy insurance? About 5-6 years ago. A lady went up to use the restroom. She comes out of the restroom and then she sees this lady walking down the hallway. And she goes, excuse me, we're closed. How can I help you? And the lady didn't answer her. She walks through a plexiglass half window that they had in their offices and through the back wall. So they all left. And I asked her, what was she wearing? And she says she was Hispanic. She had long black hair and she's wearing a long brown dress, which I thought was interesting, being a former morgue. And so we're going, is this the same? Are these ladies from there that maybe through the morgue came over when the morgue was destroyed or demolished? But then I had a homeless guy, and I don't know if I told you guys the story there. This was this summer. He was apparently sleeping in the bushes. That's where he lives across the street, because we're downtown in the farmer's bushes there, farmer's bank building. And I was mowing the grass one day, couldn't get the mower started. It's hot. And one of those, you're ill in the mood. And he comes strolling over and says, hey, mister, there's ghosts in that building. I said, yeah, I know. And said, thank you. And he goes, yeah, there's a man that stares stairs from the windows upstairs. And that intrigued me, because we've had about 4 or 5 people say there is a man up there. They've seen him in person, but they've also seen him. Different people, of course, have seen him staring out a certain window. And if he had pointed to any window in the 3 floors that wasn't where other people have seen him, I would have discounted that as, he's just talking. He pointed to the old judge's office in the windows. And he said the same thing everybody else says. When I asked him, was he looking at you? He goes, no, he was looking down the street. He was looking east. Wow. And I asked him to describe the guy. And he said he's an older man. He calls it a Fu Manchu mustache. Everybody else calls it a handlebar mustache with a beard. And he has a white shirt and a big black bow tie. And I said, what was he doing? He was just staring down the street. And so I said, okay, thanks, man. I appreciate that. He turns to walk away and he says, hey, mister, there's lady ghosts in there. I says, how do you know that? He goes, because I see them through the windows. And I was thinking, okay, are you getting in somehow? And I don't know. So I asked him that. I said, are you breaking in the building? Oh, no, I wouldn't do that. I said, well, how do you see them through the windows? You got to be up close. He goes, well, I live over there, but I come and I pee in your bushes over here. And
at least he's honest.
Yeah. At least he's honest. I said, man, don't do that. He goes, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. Right. And so I said, so what do you see? He says, well, when I'm peeing in your bushes, I looking through your windows because it's right there. And twice I've seen 2 ladies walking down the hallway together. Wow. And I said, what do they look like? He says, they look old style. He says they have long brown dresses, and one's got black hair, and the other one looks, as he calls it, gringo.
Wow.
White woman. And I said, what are they doing? He says, they're just walking down the hallways. And I said, okay, thank you. So him being innocent of everything, just mentioned that. So, but he's collaborated with everybody else that's seen them, and everybody from, we had a tank crew, Abrams 1 tank crew come in. They were about to get deployed. And of all the things that the master sergeant said, he asked them they wanted to do, which is mostly people go to bars in Juarez, our sister city in Mexico, next door. They wanted to do this. There was 7 of them. They go upstairs, and 2 of the young kids, I had asked them, because they're 20s, anybody sensitive? I always ask that, and that's another observation thing, is just through observations, no scientific theories here, just observation. It seems like folks that come in this building that are sensitive, these entities that are in there seem to know that or pick up on that, and they want to hang with them, especially the ladies and the little girl, to talk to them. And their meters go off. Their K2 meters are the ones that always first go off. They're the ones that get touched or feel nauseous because there's some sort of energy that's not agreeing with them. Things like that, or they hear the voices or see the people. And so I always thought that was strange. So I ask every group that comes in there now, no matter who they are, is anybody sensitive in the group? And I explain why. But 2 of the kids had raised their hands and they said, yeah, I saw some things in my mom's apartment. And the other guy said, yeah, I lived on this farm in Mississippi before I moved down, and we had weird things happen. They're the 2 that scream like little girls, excuse me. But they're upstairs. Their group was right overhead in the judge's office. And apparently they went out in the hallway to go into the courtroom, which is right next door. That's when I heard them yelling. They all come down. The other guys are laughing at them, making fun at them, but they're white. They were very shook up. And I said, what's going on? They go, they don't believe us, but we walked out in the hallway to go in the courtroom, and 2 ladies walked out. and excuse me, 2 ladies. One lady walked out. She was Hispanic. She had long hair and in a brown dress, and she walked past us down the stairs. Well, I was standing right there, and I didn't see anything. And I said, okay, what did she talk to you? And he goes, she didn't even look like she looked at us. She just, or we weren't even there. She just walked right past us, but we knew she wasn't real. So that's what scared us, because it really startled us. So things like that happen. The little girl has approached different people in there throughout the years, and it startles them all the time. And the reason I know about her is I was up in the second floor, middle of the day. My business partner had just turned to go into a room. I turned to follow him. Bright sunny day, and right next to me, waist high, I hear her, or a little girl, what sounded like a little girl, say, "Can you see me?" And I never answer them. I'm not an investigator like you guys. I don't engage in conversations and whip out recorders and stuff. I'd rather them not have a conversation with me or even know I'm there. But they know. I've had my name called out by a woman closing the front doors from the second floor, and by a man in closing the jail doors one night. So I don't answer them back. I've noticed also they can mimic other.
Oh, goodness. All right. We
Oh,
may have lost.
Okay.
There you go.
Gotcha. And it's happened 3 times, where once to me personally, where I thought it was a lady investigator that was in there. We were doing a night thing, and but she was all the way back in the control booth, which is hundreds and hundreds of feet down the hallways through closed doors. But I was coming from our office and turned the corner, and I heard somebody just on the other side say, "David," she has a twang. And I said, "Yeah." Turn the corner, there's nobody there. Walk all the way down the hallways and said, were you just outside? It was impossible for her to do that. She says, "No," but they've mimicked other people before, full-bodied mimics. We had a couple helping us out downstairs cleaning. When I was telling you, it was a mess when we found the building. It took us 6 months to clean this thing to get a fire marshal permit. And they took a break. We had pizza downstairs in the jail. They said, "There's some doors there that are still locked upstairs. Do you mind if we jimmy them open?" I said, "Well, knock yourself out. See what's in there." And so her and her husband went upstairs. She's jimmying the thing. She thought he was right behind her husband. And she glances out of the corner of her eye on her left side, and he's walking past her down the hallway. And so she goes, "Where's he going?" So she leans over, and he disappears down the other, turning left down the far hallway. She said at the time that was impossible. It was like a 80-foot hallway, and he just like that, just from me bending over. So she yells his name out, and he says, "What?" He's behind her. He had walked into the courtyard or courthouse, excuse me, the building, the picture you see right there, the courtroom, and to check it out, which is just literally right there. But she said, "What scared me, David, is he was dressed exactly like my husband. Even the hat he was wearing, the clothes, his hair, everything. It was my husband. It looked just like him." But it never answered.
That's awesome.
So I got to share something else, because I'm sure you guys have experienced it too. I've noticed, once again, through observation, there's the entities that are there, that are moving around, that interact, that will call your name and will open and close things and move things. And then there's, I don't know what you call them, like memories that happen. It's like a window opens up and you hear things or see things that are just being replayed. Have you had that happen in different places?
Yeah, residual hauntings is what we call them.
Yes. And that's happened a couple times, and not just to me. I think the Las Cruces Police Department came up one night and told me, or we were doing an event, him and his wife. He started asking me questions, and I didn't know who he was. He was just buying a ticket. He says, "Sir, do you have night security here?" I said, "No." He says, "Well, do you have night crew here?" And I said, "No." So she nudges him and said, "Just tell him." He said, I'm with the Las Cruces Police Department. He says, I work night shift. You'd called in a couple of things about vagrants being around the building. So me and my partner, we parked our cruiser here. This was 2 a.m. So we decided to walk around the perimeter of the building. Large building, as it is, it takes up about a quarter city block. And he says, we got to where the flagpole is. Actually, it's that right there. That's the courtyard there. There's a fence off to the right there with a stucco wall. And he says, we were passing that, and we heard what sounded like 20 or 30 guys having loud conversations inside on the first floor. And they were moving furniture. It said it sounded like crates being dragged across the floor. They made loud scraping noises. And he says, not just one, but a lot of them. And all these guys are talking. He says, well, that must be their night guys. At least let us go in and tell them we're here. So they open up the gate and they walk in, and the door is right past. You can't see it. It's hid by that tree right there, where underneath the word courthouse. And they go, and he said, we didn't notice until afterwards, but as soon as we walked in the courthouse or courtyard, the noise quit. But it was obvious it was coming from the first floor right in front of us. So we walk over to that glass door, and my partner taps on it with his flashlight, and he says, I'm lighting it up too with my flashlight. And the hallway there is only 15 feet right in front of our office. And then it turns a corner. And he says, what happened to him? He says, yeah, I don't hear it anymore. So he says, tap again. So he's tapping again, and he's got his hands up to his face, looking at the glass. He said, David, someone threw a pebble so strong, it almost cracked your glass. He hit me right in the forehead on the other side. He says, so I jerked back, and I said, well, what'd you do? He said, well, we left. He said, there was nobody to throw that. And he said, but it was really weird that it was like on cue, everything just stopped. It's like they stopped talking, they stopped moving furniture.
Wow.
So I don't know if that was just one of those residuals they happened to pick up.
Yeah, possibly. It sounds like it. We've had some of that stuff happen here. It's just, it's just residual noise is what we think it is. But to your point, there's also those intelligent hauntings as well. But, this jail that we're in right now is interesting because same thing happened. I mean, we've had law enforcement officials tell us that stuff has happened in here while they've been in here. So it's interesting that you have those type of personnel actually telling you these stories.
Oh my gosh, we invited the SWAT team here, Las Cruces SWAT team, because I met totally by accident a lieutenant. We were sitting next to each other on some event. I said, what do you do? And he told me. I said, well, where do you guys train? He goes, oh, anywhere we can find empty building. I go, why don't you come over here? Have you trained in the courthouse? He goes, no, we'd love to. So I thought they had like 8 or 10 guys on their SWAT team. They showed up with like 30 guys and 2 working dog teams. I mean, the whole parking lot was full of cop cars. And so they come in. I said, well, how late are you going to stay? He said, probably about 10 or 11. I said, just lock up after you leave. I'm not going to hang out for that. And so the next day I called him and I said, how'd it go? And he goes, oh, my guys are a bunch of, you can insert the word, pansies. Let's use that word. And I said, why do you say that? He says, a couple of guys in the back in the women's section kept hearing ladies talking to them. And I said, oh, okay. And he didn't know the history. And he told me not to tell anybody in his group and the guys coming in. So I didn't say anything. And I said, anything else? He goes, well, yeah, it was interesting. He says, in the what you call the women's section, we gave the command to the dog teams both 2 different times to go in and do their clearing. And he says, normally they love just going in and finding that guy and tearing him up. He says, they both sat down, they refused to go. And I said, that's the first time that happened. And so he said, but it's a good thing because they got to get used to different things. So now they do. It's kind of funny. They initiate their newbies, as he calls it, the guys in there, because there's some locking jail cells in there, and they tell them clear it, and they lock them in and leave them with the light because it's dark in there. And these guys are screaming bloody murder. But we had called them because we thought somebody got into the building. The alarms went off. Nobody in the building, but they came out with about 6 guys, just really quick with the patrol cars, and they say Las Cruces Police Department, come out with your hands up, that kind of thing. And I'm not allowed to go in when they do this. And one of the guys there was this big strapping guy. I mean, he's looking all around and they say, we need you to clear the basement. And he goes, oh, hell no. I said, what's going on? So he went down with 2 other guys. And when he was outside, I was saying, what's going on? He says, oh, they had me in here and they locked me in one of those cells. And he says, they don't believe me, but somebody was talking to me in that cell. I don't want to have anything to do with this place. He says, I'm from Mississippi and we have a lot of things go down there. And he says, I want nothing to do with this building. So I thought that was kind of cute, but in a way it's, you have to respect them because I don't want things happening to me in there. I don't want them talking to me. I don't want the jail door slamming and shut in front of me. I saw the shadow guy there in the middle of the day. And I always thought they tease me, the investigators. They call him the pipe man because when they first showed me still shots of this guy, I said, that's just pipe sticking out of the wall. Come on, guys. That looks to me like pipe sticking out of the wall until I saw the guy and he baited me. I heard a jail door slam. I used to run down there with a big flashlight, going to bean somebody and find out where they're breaking in. And from the office, always middle of the day. Never heard this at night, always in the middle of the day. And it's gloomy in there even in the daytime. I'm going down the big hallway. I happen to turn right down one of the narrow hallways, and there's a guy standing there, but he's all in what I think in the shadows because he's all dark. He's about 6'1", slender build, has legs spread and his arms down to his side. And I stop and I look again. He's still standing there. He's waiting for me to see him again.
Wow.
And I'm raising my flashlight to look at him, and he sidesteps, which I think I told you, nobody sidesteps anymore, but he sidestepped instead of turning and walking. He just sidesteps into one of the jails there. And I knew it was a dead end. He just walked into a jail cell. So I run down there and I had the flashlight raised. I was going to beam this guy, find out where he's coming from. Run in there. It's like I ran through a refrigerator. My hair stood up on end.
Wow.
I mean, it was summer. I was sweating in there. It was instant freeze. It's just cold. And I think I ran through him, and just shits and giggles on his part, I think, just to get my
Wow.
I walked back out. I checked the back door since that's what I came in there to do. It was locked like it always is in the jail. Come and do a fast walk down the hallway, and I said, I'm not looking left. I'm not looking right. I'm just going to walk straight back. I'm closing the big double doors to the jail, but they have glass in them. And I just happened to look in the window, and a jail door I just passed that was open swings shut, right? Just this big low.
Jeez, David.
Shut. And I go, oh, the hell no. So they can slam them off the hinges. I'm not going back there. So anyway.
Wow, those stories are absolutely fascinating.
Everyone thinks that, and I'm sure you do the same thing. When I tell them, it's like, oh my gosh, that's kind of a sad story there. They said all this stuff happens at once. I said, no, this is over the past 5 years. These guys don't perform on cue as much as a tour operator. I would love to say, guys, we're on in 15 minutes. Let's do the voices. Full body apparition would be great. Doesn't happen that way. People come and they'll have a good night, scary night. And I tell them, look, 95% of everything you're going to capture is on those audios. So pay attention if you're serious. If not, just have a good time. It's a big, scary building. Have a good time. Yeah. And then there's times where people are moments of sheer terror where somebody gets touched, somebody sees something, somebody's talking to them and they're not prepared for that. And they generally get scared. Or we've had a couple of people just get nauseous really quick. And that's some of the observation, again, not scientific. I always ask who's sensitive. And I say, look, there's some things that happen to some people that are sensitive. And I think it's the energy. You guys maybe probably know more than I do about it. But I think sometimes their energy doesn't gel with whoever's approaching them, and they get headaches, or they get stomach aches, or they get nauseous really quick. And I said, just leave the room, and it continues, leave the building. But it usually works if they leave the room and say, don't follow me if they're feeling that way. Wow. Just observation, though.
Just fantastic. So if anybody's watching, because I know a couple people in here said that they want to book an investigation. So how can people get in touch with you? And there's also a time limit here, right? Because the building is going to be renovated.
Well, they got the last investor. It's weird how these guys with big money work. This guy is a billionaire. I mean, multiple billions. He works for, I think it's the 6th richest man in the world. As he works, this is his job, going out and find investment opportunities. He knows these investing group that's down here through past investments. And I think they put in the last money, but it's still a 2 to 3 year process because it's the courthouse is going to be converted into the historic Donna Anna Hotel and Conference Center. This is the conference center part that they'll renovate it. But since it's on the historic list, they can't remove a window. They can't do anything without in writing approval from Santa Fe, the historical folks up there, to get it. So that's in itself is a long and drawn out process. The other thing is getting the contractors on board, the contracts, the agreements between the investors, who's getting what, the management company coming in, and then the actual 1 year to 1.5 year renovations and demolition of the jail, which is 1969. That's where the 3-story tower, 57 rooms, is going to be connected by breezeways. And that's going to be an interesting place when they get power back up, because it's the same footprint as the jail. And I can't imagine what's going to be going on in there. But I'm asking the owners right now, and they're on the fence. The management company might shoot us down, but we did video and still shots of every room in the place, including the jail. And we're going to do a 360 walkthrough. And we want to try to do, if they'll allow us to do a reverse tour to when now it's all nice 4-star hotel, beautiful accoutrements in there. and we want to have people put on goggles, in their rooms or with us, the 360 goggles, and take them back to what their room used to look like.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
Love that idea.
So I'm hoping they'll allow us to do that, but you know how management companies are.
So there's still a couple of years left for people to get in and get an investigation in and kind of get in there. Cause I want to come out. I want to bring Soul Sisters out there and do an investigation. So,
fantastic. Good. We don't normally allow, the public to spend the nights. We will allow investigators, only because, guys, you're more serious about it. You've got an investment in your equipment, your time, you're traveling, and we respect that. So we don't normally allow the public, because those can turn into parties very quickly.
Of course.
Oh, yes.
Of course. So, but we know a lot of investigators watch this, and everybody, when I say that David is a great guy, David is a great guy. So I don't know if anybody followed our adventures there in the Las Cruces, New Mexico Paracon, but we were scheduled to be on a 4 a.m. cab ride to the airport, and our cab driver just flaked and didn't show up. So at 4:10 in the morning, I called David and I said, is there any way you could get us to the airport? David was there in 10 minutes. He took us a 45-hour ride to the airport and got us there on time. We just made our flight. So everybody, listen, if you want to book a great investigation at a great location and with a great owner, you need to contact David.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely.
And they can reach out to me on the phones there and the website and stuff. I'd be glad to return the calls.
Okay.
We have discounts at the hotel, at the Marriott. So if they're coming in, they gave us some pretty good discounts. Plus, if they want to sleep in some B&Bs around the area, we can tune them into that as well.
Yeah, we've got those. We've got the phone number. We've got the website for Southwest Expeditions. We've got all of that in the show notes. And if there's anything I've left out, just let me know, and we'll update that on the Facebook show notes, and then also for when we upload this to YouTube.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks.
So thank you, David.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me on your show.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I'm excited about getting back out there.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. So
just let me know.
So stick around, David, because we definitely want to chat with you here after we wrap the show up. We've got another little segment left, but we'll just definitely stick around.
Okay, will do. Thanks.
All right. So again,
Great
thank
guy.
you all. Absolutely. And thank you all so much in the chat room for your comments. And we definitely encourage you to go check out the website, check out the Donna Anna Courthouse, and get in touch with David, book you an investigation.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So tonight is our segment. If you haven't watched before, we do a segment every week where we pull a random newspaper from a large collection that we were given here at the jail. And we just kind of tell the headlines. We go through some of the stories of what was happening that day. So the random pull for this newspaper is September 4th, 1986. So this is the Scott County newspaper. So the headlines for that day, new sheriff announces department staff. So the newly elected Sheriff Jack Laxton was administered the oath of office on Friday during a ceremony attended by friends, relatives, and other well-wishers at the courthouse in Huntsville, which is directly across the street from where we're at right now. So Jack Laxton was a very popular sheriff here. He had several administrations here in the county. So this is a really cool headline to see that he was announced there and sworn in.
Yeah. And so also the new Pizza Hut was built, which that's a story that's near and dear to me, because I don't know if any of y'all have seen, we posted a video. It was almost a year ago. It was Super Bowl weekend. And, back in the 80s, I believe it was 1986, I believe, Pizza Hut hosted they hosted a, it was like a promotional thing where you could buy the I can't think of my words.
Pizza bag.
Yes, thank you. The pizza bag and the drink holder. And so if you had the pizza bag, you got $1 off your order. And so I'm proud to say that my family is the only one of 2 people in the county that still to this day in 2021 still have our pizza bag. We use it. We still get that $1 off. So it's exciting to see that the Pizza Hut was being built that day.
And now expiration dates are put on all discounts and promotional material.
Yes, thanks, Mom.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see some other things that were going on here on the headlines of this day. Oneida High Senior Katie Williamson is 1986 Miss Scott County Fairest of Fair. So they had the Fairest of the Fair event that will go in the next couple of pages. There's some other ladies who are in there who were runners up and such. But so congratulations to Katie Williamson in 1986 for being the Fairest of the Fair.
Yeah, and you're going to have to help me out here because I don't have the paper in front of me, so I'm not seeing so well. But we did have an arts and crafts festival that weekend, and also a sweepstake winner, Cheryl Boyett. I don't know.
Yeah, so she's the president of the Hoe and Hope Garden Club. She's presented a sweepstakes trophy for the best all-around booth at the fair for this past year. Making the presentation is Anna Delk, chairman of the Educational Booth Committee, and Trudy Brewster, members of the committee. The presentation was made last Thursday evening prior to the Fairest of the Fair pageant.
Yeah, and I'll just tell you, the fair there in Scott County, it's always a big thing every single year, runs for a week, and such great events, everything from the Fairest to the fair. And I know they have about 4 or 5 of those different pageants, as well as the rides, but then also the different events that they have. So it's always a big thing there in the county.
There we have another picture of the newly elected Sheriff Jack Laxton. He's flanked by Attorney General William Paul Phillips and Assistant District Attorney Clifton Sonny Sexton at a ceremony in which he was officially sworn into office there at the courtyard in Huntsville. And if you have the next picture over, he named his new staff. So he got a new sheriff and a new staff. And we'll read those names. Kneeling from left are Joe West, Danny Douglas, Andy Llewellyn, David Terry, Dennis DeMoss, and Wally Chitwood. Standing are Sheriff Jack Laxton, James Loudon, Ken Sexton, Jim Massey, Howard Ellis, Ron Bond, and Tommy Sexton, detective. So kind of cool. We're sitting here in the jail and we're reading about some of these detectives. That picture is actually in front of the historic Scott County Jail. You can kind of see our door there in the background and the bars and such. That's kind of neat.
Yeah, and also, just 2 weeks ago we had Mayor Jefferson, and that would be the second term that his grandfather or great grandfather served. So pretty cool connection there.
Yeah. So let's see the rest of that page. Just kind of going through Scott County among 20 counties listed in state disaster declaration. And Rugby selected to receive a grant. So Rugby is a community not far from here up the road. So they received a grant on this day. The Institute of Museum Services has awarded 17,000 operating support grants and 1,500 conservation grant to historic Rugby. Let's see here. All right, we got a Robbins reunion held. That's up in your neck of the woods, right?
It is. Probably some of my family was at that.
Yeah, so classmates at the old Robbins High School had the opportunity to exchange greetings with former classmates Saturday at a reunion held at the school in conjunction with the town's homecoming 1986 celebration.
In fact, I think that may be my dad in that picture up there.
It actually is.
Oh,
Miranda, that's your dad.
Let me see if I can zoom in on that.
That is actually him standing there. How cool is that?
That's what I was.
I did not even notice that when we went through this.
I didn't look at that either. That will not let me zoom in.
Oh, that's him right there with his hand in his pocket.
Yeah, I thought from a distance, I thought that looked like him.
That is him. Oh, very cool. All right, so
I'll have to take a close up of that.
Yep. Let's see where we go now.
Save a Lot. Save a Lot is got 99-cent ground beef. It's always cool to see what the prices of stuff and eggs, 59 cents. So
yeah, that's pretty cool at Save a Lot. There you go. All right, what's on our next page here?
Let's see here.
Oh, we got our weddings. Let's go to that page. Sorry, guys, I dropped the paper here. Dang it.
Let's see.
Right. Yeah, the Bowling Hughes vows exchanged. Adult classes are planned for Oneida at the adult educational classes. Kind of neat.
Bots and King set a wedding date, and King and Sexton wedding set for September 13th. Also, the Village of Rugby, they were having craft classes coming up. And it looks like several other little arts and crafts planned for
Yeah.
the area.
Yeah, busy day. All right,
And
there's
then
all the
there's the fair.
There's the 86 Scott County Fairs to the Fair contestants held at the Scott County Fairgrounds on August 28th of 1986. So we won't read through them all, but there's quite a good selection there. You probably know most of these people, I'm sure.
Probably. I can't see I wish I had the Zoom capability on this, but
There's a
but
lot
yeah,
of there's a lot
lots
of
of beautiful ladies
yeah,
with
a lot of Jeffers. There's a lot
yeah.
of Jeffers in there. So a lot of Wests, Phillips, Newports. So very cool.
Very common names in the community.
Mhm.
And then,
And
of
we
course, everyone's favorite, the Little People News.
Yeah, so Jeremy Ellis Pendergrass, he was born on August 24th. Amy Mae Allen, she celebrated her first birthday on August 26th. We've got Brittany Jean Carruthers, she was born on July 11th. And then Dexter Carson and Carla Lawson celebrated their birthdays on Sunday, August 24th. Very cool. Oh,
And,
yes.
of course, on the back page, we got the Scott Foods specials. So,
Yeah.
again, really, really cool, definitely to see, kind of what was on sale and what was going on that day in history. So
1986, y'all. That was kind of a busy day.
it's what's been really neat about going back and seeing these papers are the last two papers we done have essentially been kind of themed almost.
Mhm.
This one, almost the entire paper was about the fair and the arts and crafts and everything, and a lot of really good news from the
Mhm.
area. Last week's not so good. There was like what, 3 fires and 1 major fire disaster like 8 hours after Santa came to town.
Right, yeah.
So
That was a sad day.
it was a sad day. Yeah.
Yeah. But, all right, so that was kind of a fun little read, step back in history there, but, very fun, podcast, Jailhouse Informant podcast tonight. Thank you again, David Kreider, for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for watching. What do we have on tap for this week, Amanda?
Yeah, so definitely we are announcing the public ghost hunts that will be coming up during the month of March. So we just want to tell you guys, because I think we've got we've got 3 of those planned. And
Yeah.
so if by some chance, you can't make any of those dates, definitely give us a call at the number on the bottom of the screen and we can put together a private guided ghost hunt for you. We do
Mhm.
have a difference in the two. We have the ghost hunts and we have the paranormal investigations. But the ghost hunts, they are guided by myself and Dr. Sumner. And so we can custom put one of those together as long as there's not a private investigation book for that date.
Mhm.
So keep an eye out on the calendar because those will be announced tomorrow. Go ahead and head on over to the website if you want to do one of our Women's History Month flashlight tours. Get those dates booked because as soon as we open that up on Facebook as well as put that information out in the community, those tickets do book up really fast. So we definitely encourage you to go and check that out. Give us a call, reach out on our website, and we'll do that. We should also have long sleeve,
Yes.
our new long sleeve t-shirts
T-shirts.
in. Yep. And those, we did preview those last week. They're at the printers. We've gotten word from the printers that they have the shirts in from the supplier and they've been prepped and they're working on them. So crossing fingers, hopefully we'll be picking those up this week. So that's exciting.
Mhm.
And then we're also working on a few other just special event things that we'll be having planned. We're trying to kind of really give some leeway. So hopefully between March, April, and May, we'll be making some announcements here over the next week to 2 weeks of some really cool things that's coming up. And then also the research study.
Yes, the research study. So if you're a paranormal investigator or a paranormal investigation team, we still have that going on. The teams that have investigated it so far, we don't want to know what their results are, obviously, but they have told us that it's an extremely active situation when they investigate. So come on out, get your paranormal investigations book so you can actually investigate that with us and for us. So because we really want to get some more feedback on that paranormal investigation study that we're doing. So dates are open, so go ahead and book that.
Yeah, we want to make sure that that lockbox with all that information is chock full so that when we meet with our detective, he's kind of got a little bit of a job to do going through everything.
Mhm.
And again, the way that that's structured, if you book a paranormal investigation and you so choose to do that, you can investigate the item through May 31st. If you don't want to book a full scale investigation and you're a solo investigator, a psychic, a medium, or someone that's just, wants to kind of take a stab at it and put your choice or your information
Box.
in the box there, you can reach out to us and schedule a 1 hour time slot, and you do that through through the website or through giving us a phone call, and we'll set you up an hour appointment on there.
Mhm. So a lot of fun, a lot of things happening here. So again, thank you all for watching. Again, thank you, David, for being on with us. Please go visit David's website, go and visit his Facebook page because he has a great location out there. And it's just a lot of fun seeing it and investigating. So again, thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you all so much. And next week we've got a great group of ladies that's going to be joining us. I think it's cool. They're going to be helping us kick off Women's History Month there. They're a team who they did recently investigate here, and we love their style, their dynamic, and they a lot of fun. And so they're going to be talking about their investigation as well as talking about their team. So they will be on with us next Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So,
Yep.
so until then, take care, everyone.
Good night.